Hello, TCI family, Church of Inclusion, Jonathan's Refuge, and all of our faithful followers and friends from around the world, including the Kingdom of Ghana, the King who knighted me. I really, really am grateful for all of our faithful followers and friends out there. Thank you for your prayers. As you all know, I lost my father a few weeks ago, and it's been a rough one. Um, I'm a fourth generational minister. Uh, he was part of the three generations before me, and it's hard when a man that I'm 50 years old this year. I just turned, and my father was that one of those pillars that you could go to, and now he got to an age, and I started to be the one. I've been paying his bills and taking care of him and things of that nature, and you start to become the parent, and then all of a sudden they go, and then you realize, wow, what do you do? And so I lost my father, and tonight's message is part of that, is involved in that, because there's been a lot of catastrophic events in the last few weeks. Even as I look out the window right now, I'll share with you. So um, there's a gigantic, if I can get it seen or not, it's a huge fifth wheel down there, and I just bought from my ex-wife's son, and we had it transported over today. And the pad that it's sitting on behind, that's going to be where it's sitting. The pad had some trees come down, and so it's been a little chaotic here today. But as I go through my last few weeks, my father passes, and what I was for, hoping for, was some some weeks of peacefulness, that not having to do much. Maybe even the people around me could step up and let me do some inward thoughts and processing and prayer and searching through this process, right? Didn't work out that way. And it usually, just so you know, it usually never does. But that's okay. We can still hope for it and try for it. And sometimes you get those. I didn't. It was just one big chaos after another. Even the background, if you hear it right now, you can hear saws going, and there's paint and construction, and there's upstairs and there's downstairs, and there's and it's 8 in the morning, and and my office for like 6 companies is in half of the living room, half of another closet office that's shared with 2 other people. The chaos. What do you do? How do you keep going? And then there's no break. And then my health, and then my heart, and then it just kept piling up. And so I keep pushing. And even this week, I find out that my ex partner, one of my ex partners, I don't say partner, my life partner, wife, whatever, cost our firm $500,000. That was tough. We lost $500,000. That's just I mean, that there's so many people that could have been helped and changed. The negligence, and it was sad. And I'm not trying to beat her up. I'm just telling you, this is just the last 3 weeks of my life. And so $500,000 just goes up in smokes. And then you sit there, and as you go through your processing, and you're trying to deal with it, and you got employees who were involved but didn't know and not sure and don't know what to say. And then I got my guy who did the investigation. I asked him to dig deep and find out, and sure enough, he did and found all this. And we're working on it, and we can't go back and do anything about the past. The past. But we can go forward. Going forward is the key. And so I think of that, and then I was like, today it was one of the worst. Today, the last few days have just been horrible. I open my home to guests, people that need a place all the time. I've got people living here. I was introducing my brother. He's one of our board members. He's also now the new director to Jonathan's Refuge. And he's also starting on January, not just as the director of Jonathan's Refuge, he actually starts full time, and he will become our executive director. Executive vice president of the corporate office. So he'll be overseeing all the directors and relieving me of so much. And then he's going to be focused on getting to the refuges so that I can be freed up to continue to grow and get more houses and continue to have more programs, focus on getting more therapy programs and more opportunities where I can take the men out and get them out into the mountains and out into the boat and the oceans, because I don't have to run around and do all the day to day. My team can take care of that. So it's very exciting. And so I was excited to introduce them to somebody. And they had a bad day and they came through and blew off my brother and blew me off. And it was kind of, embarrassing. And to be honest with you, if you know me, I'm that old Irish temper. I'm that guy I think I told you about this. The guy had a bad day and he decided to punch me in the face at the store. When he left, they took him in an ambulance and his whole skull was, fractured open. And the cop looked at him and said, so what part of that was a good idea? When the man told you he was an ex-pro fighter and then you thought it was good to punch him in the face? Like, well, I just need to let people know who's boss. And he looks at him with his skull cut up and going, so how'd that work out for you? And he's like, not too good. So keep that in mind, right? And so I'm having one of them couple of weeks, not days, weeks. It's been 3 weeks of this. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. The hits keep coming. And then you got staff in other departments that are like, we got a bill and it's like 26,000 and 35,000 and 17,000. And you're just like, yeah, keep them coming, keep them coming. And you just keep going and you keep smiling and you keep smiling and you keep dialing. When I used to run marketing rooms, I had a big phone sign above your phone that said smile and dial. Because if you weren't smiling, the people could see it through your voice on the phone when they hear it. And if you're not dialing, you're not making money. And so action is one of the big key steps. So the last 3 weeks, all I can do is, to be honest with you, I can go, one breath, one step, and I'm out of breath. My heart is just, I know why. It's the stress of my father. It's the loss. It's the pain. It's $500,000 just like as though it was nothing and it's laughed about like, oh, well, stuff like that. It piles up. People that say they love my dad, but then did things in the end to hurt my father dramatically in the end, tried to hurt him or hurt me through him. And so, I'm dealing with all of that. And what do? It's just to the other side of my shoulder, right there. That's what I did. I looked outside as I was sitting here and I'm surrounded by people. I don't have a moment of privacy unless I shoot off to the marina and go stay on the boat, which I can't seem to get a moment to do. And I looked out one moment and I saw the sun, as I see behind the trees there setting. And the rays were coming through and I could just hear the angels almost singing. And I smiled. This was literally this last week. And then today, as I mounted my day and everything fell apart, I could look at it as, oh, this is all bad. Instead, I told one of my staff members, I think we're not going to park that thing up in its spot. I know this sounds weird, but I think God's trying to tell me, hey, we got a big storm blowing in. Maybe these branches are going to blow down on top of it. We don't have the shed or the metal thing for it to be covered with yet. And I'm just sitting there going, this is an expensive piece of equipment. We can't just afford to wreck this. And I just had a gut feeling. And my number two decided to concur and say, absolutely, I agree. We need to just park it right there where it's safe. And we'll let it sit there until we can get it all figured out, right? Or I could have blown up. And then I go into the garage and I go to do some work and I can't get the tools. And I had to go spend the guys didn't put tools in the proper place. They didn't get the chainsaws refiled and sharpened. There's a lot of things that were gone. There's a lot of things that are missing. I couldn't even operate in my garage because I got another guy who's living in my garage and he's just terrorizing it because that's how he was trained. Somebody didn't understand how to be a grown man in a garage and they trained him in a bad way. And then those bad habits, now they're not bad. They're called normal, but they're not. And they need to be broke. And so today I was ready to break some habits. And so I got another guy coming and he's delivering the RV and then he calls and he wants to renegotiate his price. And I was like, I said to Miss Heather, I was like, Miss Heather, I think you should handle this. Because I was like, I know better. I got to take a step back. And yet I'm smiling and laughing. Inside, I'm crying too, by the way. I'm mourning the loss. I didn't think it would be this hard, but it was. And then all of that's going on. I got to drop these trees that are already half fallen, and they're in a dangerous, very dangerous position. And I got Junior with me, my assistant. And this is no kidding, man. Two of those trees, I actually pretty sure I was gonna get taken out or at least hospitalized. It was that bad, but it had to be done. And I was an old tree man. 35 years ago, I was doing tree stuff. 35 years, folks. I haven't dropped a tree in I don't even know how long. 30 years, maybe, since I actually think I've dropped a tree. I think it's been 30 years. And then when I bought this property here 6 months back, I dropped two. And then I had to drop the ones that were already fallen over. And they were hung up on other trees and very dangerous. Nothing was working. Everything I needed was in the wrong place. People move things. People don't care because it's not their money. It's not their life. They just, they're along for the ride of it. That's life. So what are you going to do? What are you going to do? I got guys that are in the refuge, and I get calls all the time, and they're in the hospital, and they're panicking and freaking out. I got men that, they're in their CCO's office, and they're in tears going, and I'm like, what's wrong with you, man? Hold it together. Pull yourself together, man. Half the time you just want to slap someone because they're losing it. Like, okay, I need to talk to a doctor mean? It's not how it works. Control yourself. Real men, real women know how to control ourselves, not lose it. Now, have I ever lost it? Absolutely. It says in the Bible, be angry, but sin not. It's okay to get angry at them and say, you better get this crap fixed up. Don't smack them. Anger goes into action. Action is wrong. That's when we sin. We miss the mark, right? That's when we miss the mark. So what we want to do is learn to staff our weaknesses. So in a situation like that, what did I do is I asked for someone to come in and help me. Now, if I hadn't had anyone come in and help me, what would I have done? Here's what I would have done. I would have done what I did yesterday. I'd have taken 5 minutes and just took a walk around my property. That's what I would have done. I'd have grabbed Belle. Hi, Belle. Say hi, Belle. So you guys can see I got Miss Belle. Belle, look. There's our Belle. And right below my feet is our Nala. Hi, Nala. Say hi to everybody. Say hi. Those are our therapy dogs. And I would take them and I'd go walk the property one time. And it just calms you. And then I was able to go handle whatever I needed to handle. That, my friends, there's many stories in the Bible. Look at Paul in the book of Acts, chapter 28. The guy is now a prisoner headed to Rome to be, tried by Caesar and all of this. And the poor guy, he ends up getting shipwrecked on the way. And then he gets shipwrecked. It says on the island of Malta. Some say it's the island next to it. Whatever. It's one of those islands, but they say the island of Malta. So he's on the island of Malta. They're starting a fire. He reaches in to put another log in the fire. And as he does, a big old viperish snake gets him. And he doesn't die. He just shook it off like it was nothing. And they're all expecting for him to be killed over or dead. And he just blows it off and keeps going. And then he goes, and it's all bad. My point is, this guy's life is crumbling below his feet. He's going to die for his spiritual beliefs. And he didn't lose his cool. He didn't try to escape. He didn't try to he's like, whatever. It is what it is. When it's my time, it's my time. And I think I take a lot of comfort in that. Well, you guys all know I've probably preached over 1,000 sermons on Joseph in the Old Testament and the coat of many colors, right? And he had the 12 tribes of Judah were named. The 12 tribes of Israel were named after his sons. And, when I think of Joseph in this story, and that poor guy, his brothers tried to kill him. Then they sold him as a slave because his brother Reuben saved his life and said, let's not, have our brother's blood on our hands. So they sold him and then lied to his dad, told him your favorite son's dead. A lion ate him, brought back his coat covered in blood. And, man, horrible, horrible brothers. Horrible when you think about that. And then all this, then it gets worse. And then he finds favor and climbs the ranks to become the master, the number two to the master of his home. So he's a slave. He's not a slave. He was the prince of the 12 brothers. He was his father's jewel of his eye. He had not to lift a finger. His brothers went to work every day. Daddy let him stay at home because he wanted him to be able to rule and reign in his dad's seat. So now he's a slave? And it doesn't say he was bitching and moaning and crying, and it didn't say he was yelling at people, and it didn't say he was upset. He had people telling him what to do. They weren't polite about it. So I know a lot of guys that go, if I was in Joseph's place, I'd put them in their place. Well, that's why you're not Joseph, and that's why you'll never rule Egypt like Joseph did, and that's why you'll never go through what Joseph went through, because you couldn't handle it. Think about that for a second. Because I had that posed to me once by a mentor. It says, you couldn't even do what Joseph did. And I said, oh, yes, I could. And then years later, I had to go through exactly what Joseph went through. Yeah, literally the exact same thing. If you want to find out how bad my life was, go read that story of Joseph. And it's exactly what happened. And all of a sudden, here I am, like Joseph, in prison, going, what the heck? I've done a lot of things, but not this time. But I'm innocent. But I didn't cry. I didn't do that. I didn't boo. I didn't say, oh, well, I have a bad attitude. This is not fair. I smiled and said, thank God. And I found good in it. I was freed from my ex-wife. I was free from all the drama of my past. I was free of money and responsibilities. I got out with a fresh start with my brain and my life and $20. And you know what I did? I had about 3 or 4 friends in my life that stuck with me. Now everyone knows the story. I'm at the top of the heap, and I got all the money and all the things, and I lack for nothing. I want nothing. I need nothing. And I do and go where and when I want, and whatever it is I want to do. How does that happen? How do you get to become like a Pharaoh and rule and reign like Joseph? Because I followed Joseph's pattern. That's what I'm trying to teach you to do. Some guys get all upset. You're making fun of me. I'm not making fun of anybody. I'm making fun of me. See, I was you, knucklehead. I was that guy. And someone got in my face, and I realized, ooh, he's right. I better get this under control. So I did. And I changed. And then I had the same opportunity as Joseph. And I no longer was just some slave. I was Pharaoh, and I ran Egypt. Are you tired of living a life where you have to answer to so many people? And I'm not talking about bosses. We all have a boss. Even I have a boss. Even though you don't, you own your own companies. Yeah, but I have board of directors. And unlike most men and women, I'm not afraid to put my name on the chopping block each year. So I built my churches and my companies so that the board can toss me out every year. Every year they got to vote me back in. I got to make sure I keep my job. Yeah. And you see, I have no care. You want to know why? Because I'm the best at what I do. And ain't nobody going to get rid of me because I'm really good at what I do. But I have to keep doing it. I can't stop and say, oh, I'm done. That's why I had to go to the next level in our organization. That's why Jonathan's Refuge now has Tyler Rusin, who we were able to snatch from the largest employer in Skagit County, and it's his family's business, the Tulip Gardens at the Rusin Garden. We just as they say in sales, we just bagged ourselves a whale. This man's amazing. And so having him is now going to enable us for me to duplicate myself and be more places and do more things for our people and grow more for our company and expand more for our company and spend more time with my men one-on-one that I haven't been able to. Why? Because of what Joseph did, the path that he laid out for me to follow, and people like Tyler and other board members and other leaders in our organization, like Heather, our executive director, our secretary and treasurer of our corporation. She's amazing. She's a board member. There's so many people in our organization that we're so proud of that step up day in and day out. And it's because they look at people like Joseph and say the same thing. Okay, I got it. I see the path. Joseph didn't bitch, moan, complain, or gripe. He showed respect. He literally showed respect to the masters. He was a slave. Could any of you do that? Yeah, I asked that question for you to answer it yourself because that was tough for me to do. And when I finally bowed my knee and got over my hubris, which is you have so much ego that you can't even see it. Caesar was killed because his hubris allowed him to be so blinded that he didn't even see the conspiracy that was his best and closest friends right before him. And next thing you know, he's dead. Are you about to be dead? Or are you about to be Joseph, who's about to become the ruler of Egypt, which means and symbolizes to you the ruler of your life? Wouldn't you like to have that freedom? Wouldn't you like to have the freedom that you can literally just wake up today and do whatever you want to do? It's not about money, it's about freedom. I can show you how to do this living as a teacher at school. I can show you how to do this as a police officer. I can show you how to do this as a person on Social Security for the rest of your life. And I can show you how to free yourself so you get rid of it. One of my best friends, we both had this little wake up call, and it's talking about specifically how we stop griping and complaining so much. And it's not easy, folks. It's not easy. I want to gripe and complain about every idiot I see. I would love to. If it was up to me, I'd grab every knucklehead idiot and I'd just smack them as hard as I could. Most of them need it because we've created such a pansy country. We're now like afraid to offend someone and stuff. And it's like, not me. I'm not afraid to offend you. If I haven't offended you, then I don't love you because I haven't been pushing hard enough in your life. And so here I am, and I'm just trying to show a path, right? And as I do that, I find myself still every day learning and growing to try to be better in this area. And that is to not gripe and complain as I go through so much. It's okay to be angry. Remember, it's okay to be angry. I'm allowed to be mad at the guy who screwed up and cost me $1,000 today. I'm allowed to be mad at the employees who were involved in costing me $500,000. Totally allowed to be angry, it says. But sin not. Don't miss the mark. So if I came home and I mean, $500,000, folks, when you only, let's be honest, last year was a $750,000 year in that company, and this year it's a 1.6 million in that company, and $500,000. That's a huge portion of the money. Bye bye. I had a few friends that literally walked up and just gave me a shot of whiskey, and I said, I don't need that, thank you. I'm not celebrating anything right now. Like, man, I'd have a shot because that's how you get it. I don't need a shot. If I have a shot of whiskey, folks, it's going to be because of a celebration, not because I'm stressed. That's a bad thing. When you got a drink to help get through a situation, we got a problem. And so that's part of the whole path that Joseph laid out for us. People like Joseph and St. Paul, they showed us how we can overcome it and keep pushing. So as you do, listen to me. Don't bitch, don't moan, don't cry, don't complain. Boo-hoo, someone talked to you wrong. Someone disrespected you. Good. Instead of getting angry, sometimes I've had guys disrespect me, and I just, no problem. I hand it off to one of my executives and let them deal with it. And I don't even have to get involved and talk to them about how they messed up or how they should have done this. People will do that for me. I can take a step back. People upset me all the time too. People do things that are just wrong and mad, and I have to take a step back and go, okay. And then I've had people come up to me thinking they can tell me off, and I'm like, okay. Now I have the right to tell them back off, but you don't need to. You don't need to blow up, and it doesn't need to be this huge fight, even though, like, I'm the guy that shouldn't be talked to like that. So what? So I got talked to like that. So you know what I do? I just pass it off to someone else. It's no biggie. If you take it personal and if you make it your goal to fix that kind of stuff, you're going to always be failing in life. I want you to succeed. I want the men in the refuge and the men and women in our church throughout the world. I want you guys to be able to find this peace that I have that God gave me. It's a peace in the Bible that says it passeth all understanding. My dad is dead. People who said they loved me have been robbing me blind and hurting me. Others who say they care have been coming after me. People, it's like there's just when the money shows, the fangs all show, right? So there they are. And people are like, how do you deal with all this? And I said, it's no biggie. I'm peaceful. I have a peace that passeth all understanding. That is what I want you to get to. That's what Joseph found. And that's why the Pharaoh said, I want Joseph to be my number 2. And he put his signet ring on Joseph and said, hear this, Egypt. When I, Pharaoh, am not at the temple or at the throne, Joseph will be sitting on the throne, and my ring is on his hand. And when he speaks, he is Pharaoh. Oh. Now, how did he get Pharaoh? I'll tell you how he got the job. Because Pharaoh saw him and said, that cool cat doesn't care. He was sold by his brothers as a slave, put into slavery, charged with raping his boss's wife when he never did it, went to prison, was a registered sex offender, and then he ends up being stuck in prison for a while, and then somehow gets a shot to help two guys in prison when he should have been doing like everyone else does. Yes, poor me, poor me. Then the two dudes never would have heard him, never would have known that he could help the Pharaoh later when it did come up. See, you don't know who you're entertaining. You don't know what could have happened. I had a person last week that was, had they not been sitting there and bitching and moaning and complaining, I was actually prepared to write a check for, I'm not going to say how much, but it was thousands, and it was going to change their life. But I found out who they really were. It didn't take much. You just needed to sit there for a second and listen to them. And they started telling me how, well, that's why we've got like 6 groups we're working with trying to get this free money. And I said, free money? Oh. And I figured it all out. And I realized, they're just, and she straight up looks at me. So we're just trying to scam it. It's a system. If you don't scam the system, they'll scam you. And I was like, oh, that's so sad. I'm so sorry. Yeah, God bless you. I'll keep praying for you. Like, yep. And I was going to actually, I could have wrote the check for him. Now, you don't help people like that. They need to fall. They need to hit the hard bottom. They need to break it all, every bone on the way down that fall, get to the bottom, have something crush them, sit on top of them, pile up on top of that. And then that's usually when they go uncle to God. Because how do I know that? I was that guy too. And it was hard. And I hit it hard and I fell hard and I had everything pile up. And thank God I had someone like me there to help walk me through it. And that's what I want to do for you. So I went a little longer today, but I needed you to hear this. They're just like, if I can figure out which way to point, just like the sun coming through on my shoulders and stuff. If you look at that and you think of your future, you never can see what's on the other side of the tree from here. You're not gonna. You'll just see the beams of light. And man, look at that. It's gorgeous. Now, with it being gorgeous, what's on the other side? I really want to know. So what I'm going to do when I'm done is I'm going to go take a walk. But don't you want to know what's around the corner for you? Because there's blessings or there's cursings, and it's all dependent upon you. I love you guys. I wish you the best this week. Let's learn to just let all of it roll off our back and not care, in the respect that it doesn't affect our actions. So when our emotions get all wound up because someone said or did something, let's suck it up, buttercup. Let's put it inside. Let's give it to God. Say, thank you, Lord. And let's move forward. And then you'll show Pharaoh that you're ready for the big show when it's time. God bless.